Hi, my name is Rudolph. I'm a British American expat living in Finland. Today I want to talk to you about something that's near and dear to my heart, and that's how do you manage your money when you live abroad? For me, it's been a real struggle to try and find an app or program that I can use to help me manage my money, in particular my spending. If you live in the US, there's several really good programs that you can use. And if you live in the UK, I think there are a couple actually that you can also use. But I'm not really aware of anything that's global that will help you if you live across many different countries or you have accounts in different places. To me, a good financial app is one that will allow you to connect your accounts and download your transactions and help you with categorizing the expenses. The one issue I find as an expat that's lived in multiple countries is that even if you do find a good app, then it only works in one country. So if you have transactions from different countries, you will have to manually enter the transactions from the countries that the app does not cover. Over time, if you move countries, you might find that your transactions change. So, for example, if I'm in the UK, I may have the bulk, if I'm living in the UK, I may have the bulk of my transactions coming through my UK bank account. So, therefore, maybe I would get a UK app and then manually enter, say, my US transactions or my Middle East transactions or wherever else I have transactions but aren't so many. But if you move from country to country, what you'll find is that, one app might be good for one country, but then when you go to another country, your transactions are coming from a new country, so the original app is no longer good. So that's why I find it really frustrating to try and find a good solution. What I do is I just design spreadsheets where I can manually track my own transactions. Therefore, I can set them up so that it will work for whatever current country I'm in or whatever my current situation is. Ideally, what I will do is I will track a detail of all of the money that comes into my account and all the money that goes out of my account. But that can get really tedious. And the main program that I use, when I say program, I mean the main spreadsheet that I've set up, sometimes it would take me probably 5 to 6 hours a month to enter all the transactions. And then, sometimes I might be busy, so I miss a month, and then, it's like a 10, 15-hour backlog of work that I need to do. And usually I'll be good for maybe the first 3, 4 months of the year, but then at some point in the year, I'll just decide the backlog is too much, and I just give up, and I tell myself, okay, I'll just start again in January the next year. Now that it's December 2023, actually I think maybe I did 1 month of 2023, and for different reasons I gave up. And I'm now thinking, okay, the new year is coming. I need to decide what system I'm going to use and get that set up and then really stick to tracking it in the future year. I'm not so confident that I'm actually going to be diligent and keep tracking all of this information for the whole year. And in my mind, if I'm not going to do it for the whole year, then it's a waste of time to spend 3 months developing and setting up the spreadsheet and then abandoning it partway through the year. So at this point, I think I'm not going to do my detailed tracking, and instead I'm going to do like a net worth tracker and just use that to manage my finances. For me, I have 3 methodologies that I use depending on how much time I want to devote. Best methodology is to do a detailed budget and a detailed track of where every amount of money I spend goes. But again, like I said, that takes 5 to 6 hours a month, and I don't always do that. The easiest method that I have is to just track my net worth, usually at the end of the month. And then I have sort of like a hybrid method where I do my net worth tracker, and then I also then forecast what my spending is going to be for the next 2 to 3 months. And that way I can kind of anticipate if I'm going to have any cash flow problems. And so to me, that's kind of a nice kind of in-between method. So today I'm going to talk about doing the net worth tracker And in another video, I'll go through the other two methods that I also use from time to time, depending on how energetic I feel at the beginning of the year. For the net worth tracker, I have a 6-step process. Step 1, pick a date to prepare your net worth statement. I suggest that it's either the first or last day of the month, but technically you could use any day. Whatever day you pick, you should use that as the day that you track your net worth every month for the whole year. Step 2, make a note of the value of all of your assets and liabilities. To make this simple for this video, let's just say that for your value of assets, just look at financial assets and liabilities. So that will include things like your checking/current account, savings account, credit cards, loans or other debts, and investments, whether for retirement or non-retirement. The way I define assets are, these are things that you own, and liabilities are things that you owe. We'll get into that a little bit more later. One thing to note is that when you're doing this, you need to convert everything to one currency because you're going to be adding and subtracting them. So obviously you can't add dollars and euros together. Step 3 is to calculate your net worth by subtracting your liabilities from your assets. And I should say, as we're doing this, I'm going to talk through the process, and then I'm going to work an example and show you, just so you can see the mechanics of how it works. Step 4 is to compare your current net worth with the previous month's net worth. As you're doing this comparison, you want to make sure you understand why your net worth has changed from one month to the next. Ideally, your net worth should be increasing every month, but due to the timing of bills or different items, your net worth may fluctuate, between months. But in general, you would like to see that your net worth is generally increasing, improving month after month. But things will come up and down, so don't worry about that too much. Step 5 is that you write down your observations after reviewing your net worth. Comments and things you want to note would be things like, are you happy with the number? Is it higher or lower than expected? Based on what you see, do you need to make any changes to your spending habits? And then the final step is step 6, which is to decide what steps, what actions you're going to take based on your understanding, based on your evaluation of how your finances are going. The beauty of tracking your net worth is that it saves you from having to do a lot of detailed calculations, but it actually does give you a lot of information. If your net worth is increasing, then that means that you're earning more than you're spending. If it's decreasing, then it means that you're spending more than you're earning. And, if things are kind of going on track, then, you don't necessarily need to know how much are you spending on eating out versus how much you're spending on car payments, for example. If the numbers are moving in the right directions, whereby it's increasing, it means that whatever money you're bringing in is more than you're expending. And what you could do is, instead of setting like a budget to tell you how much you should be spending every month and tracking it, you can just give yourself a net worth budget and just say, okay, I'd like my net worth to go up by $1,000 a month, for example. And then you just have that one number to track. And so it makes life a lot easier. And one thing I like about doing this in a spreadsheet, aside from the flexibility of being able to design it however I want, and not having to learn how to use someone else's system, is that it's private. I've got that information. If you're using an app, it's never clear to me where your data is going, who's using it, and what they're doing with it. So here we're going to do a worked example. In this example, we're going to be looking at the first 3 months of the year. So in this example, I have January, February, and March balances. And all I would do here is January, I will, in this file, I have my institution. I've got a description of the account, what type it is, the currency, the amount, the exchange rate, the reporting currency. In this particular case, my reporting currency is euro. I've made a note of that just so I don't forget. And I've just got a space for notes if I choose to add any. So institution, I just put in the name of the bank. Under description, I like to just put down a note of what type of account it is. So here it is a checking account or current account. And then the last four digits of the account number, in case, at the bank, I might have more than one checking account. So this way, it's just very clear which account I'm looking at. Whether it's an asset or a liability, the currency of that account, the balance in that account as of the date I'm looking, the exchange rate, which is the rate to convert it to the reporting currency. In this case, one thing to note is anything that's a liability should be shown as a minus because that should be subtracted from your assets. And then we just look at the report currency column because obviously you can't add up mixed currencies. So in this case, here in January, my net worth in this example is 45,821 euro and 7 cents. I do the same thing again in February, and here, let me go back again and make this a little bit bigger. So then here we have the current amounts here. And so this is the current amount. So for the month of February, my balance is 39,224 and 19 cents. And then here I've linked in the prior month amount and then a change just so I can see what's happened. So in this case, I can see that my net worth has decreased by 6,000. And then here I would put some notes just to kind of help me think through what's happened. For small amounts, I don't really pay attention, but I can see here that my pension has gone from 39,000 the prior month to 36,000. So I've noted that as a fall in the value of my pension. Usually with a pension, normally I'm contributing every month, so I would expect to see that go up. But as pensions are invested, balances will rise and fall depending on what happens in the markets. Here I can see on my credit card balance, it's currently 2,237. Last month it was 1,578. So, I've gone up about 650 in credit card in the first credit card, and I've gone up about 3,000 in the second credit card. So again, those are things that I need to think about. And what I would do is I would think about, in terms of the value of the pension, there's not much I can do about that. That's just the market. It will go up and it will go down. In terms of the credit card balances, well, that says to me that, actually I'm probably overextending myself. So that would just tell me that I need to be a little bit more mindful and conscious about cutting back on my spending. So without actually going through and saying, oh, I've eaten out too much, or I'm over my shopping budget, I can just see my credit card balances have increased. So I know I'm spending too much. So I need to be a bit more mindful about that. Okay, now if we jump to March, again, let me just increase that a little bit in size. I can see that here my savings balance has gone down. Now in this example, actually I've decided to pay down my credit cards. So I've actually taken money out of my savings account and used that to pay down on my credit cards. Again, here in this example, my pensions have recovered a bit. So that has gone up. I've noted that, this particular credit card has been paid off and this one hasn't moved very much. So I've only paid the minimum balance on that card. So again, these notes are just to kind of help me think through how I'm spending and, what do I want to do about my financial situation. without actually going into the details of, every single spend. And then here there is a summary for the whole year. Let's see, let me make that a little bit bigger as well. Oops. So just down here I've just listed every month, and then here is the net worth, which is linking from these individual sheets. And then I note what the change is, and then sort of the percentage change and my overall thoughts on what's happened. And that's kind of where having those notes on the monthly file, I kind of use those to kind of summarize kind of in one sentence, one phrase, what's going on. So I can see here in January, it was my first month, so I don't know what the change is. This is just the first month of my tracking. In Feb, I've gone down 6,500, and it's from the decrease in value of pensions, increase in credit card balances. And then in March, I've paid down the credit cards, and there was a recovery in the pensions. So, this can kind of give you an idea of a high-level way that you can kind of keep track of your finances. I would say to do something like this, you might even be able to do it in 15 minutes, depending how many accounts you have. But, maybe I might spend half hour to an hour on it. And that includes kind of thinking through how I've been performing and what activities I want to do to try and improve what's going on with my net worth. So here's a worked example, very simple. If you want to see a copy of this spreadsheet, very simple spreadsheet that I've done, send me a message or just put a comment in, and I will make it available. But you can just create your own and do something similar so you can track how your finances are performing without having to spend too much time on it. I hope going through this worked example makes it a little bit easier for you to follow what I was talking about and think about how you could come up with a similar system that works for you for tracking your assets and your liabilities, and thereby making sure that your net worth is increasing and not decreasing. Thanks for checking out the video. I hope you found it useful. As I mentioned earlier, I'm going to do a few more videos on this topic where I show how I would do a detailed track of my expenses and how I do kind of a hybrid where I'm checking my net worth, but then also doing a short-term forecast of what my spending will be in the next couple of months. Thanks a lot. See you later. Bye-bye.